Hey sports fans, this is Straight from the Basement with Tommy Ommy. I'm a sports fan who always said, if I never played a sport professionally, then I want to talk about it. I'm born and raised in New York City. Played organized basketball for several well-known teams in the mid-'70s and the early '80s, such as the legendary Home Cold Rucker Tournament, Melbank, Stone Gym and Riverside Church, LaGuardia House, and my all-time favorite, Each One Teach One. Having sports in my life at an early age always kept me out of trouble. If I wasn't playing basketball, I was either playing football or baseball. Hey sports fans, this is Straight from the Basement with Tommy Ommy, where my opinions, views, and facts will cover the hottest, the latest, and the past sports events. Welcome once again. I want to continue to thank everyone who has liked and subscribed to my YouTube channel. I appreciate you so much. If this is the first time you're viewing it, please do the same. As always, before I even get into today's topic, listen, there's no hot topic for this show. As you can see, I'm not in the basement. As you can see, I got a legend sitting next to me that I'm about to introduce to y'all in a second. Before I even get into who this man is, listen, we talking about hanging out right now at Tito's Restaurant, 185 St. Nick at 119th Street, heart of Harlem, New York City, y'all. Listen, it's a Tuesday night, and my man Tony Mac got me down here to introduce this legend. I'm going to tell you who he is in a second if you don't recognize the face. On the hottest day of the year, it's 104 degrees outside. Listen, this is a pleasure for me, man. Listen, I got the former high school, NCAA, NBA, Rucker Pro legend star player that I'm about to introduce and interview. Listen, I haven't interviewed since Bob McKellar, and that was a treat. But I got a legend here. Not to say Bob McKellar is not a legend, but I got a legend here that we're about to get into it. This man has been doing God's work, y'all. And it is not about his basketball career while we here hanging out at Tito's. It's about what this man has been doing for communities throughout and what he's been doing for young folks. He's doing God's work, y'all, and we're going to get into that in a second. This man, no other than Fred Disco Downtown Brown. Disco Downtown Brown, how are you doing?
I'm doing great, man. I'm sitting here with you now, so I'm always humbled. It's always a pleasure, man, to have someone regard you, and so I'm gonna take you around with me, man.
Listen, you heard that. I'm going to call him out on this, all right? Okay? Listen, you guys know I'm always in the basement. And Tony Mac said, I got to come out the basement sometimes, so I'm out the basement, hanging out at Tito's, y'all. Listen, basketball heads, community leaders, politicians, this former Kennedy High, Virginia Commonwealth, Phoenix Sun, and Rucker Pro legend has been a role model. Not just here in New York City, y'all. We're talking nationwide. Yes, nationwide, y'all. Plus, this man is a successful entrepreneur. Listen, when I put this show together, my man Tony Mac said, we doing it. I thought about Magic Johnson when he sent me over his bio. I said, damn, Magic started like this. Look at Magic now. Fred started his ball career. Look at him now. Look what he's been doing. Look what God's been blessing him to do. So we're going to talk about that blessing that this man has been doing. So, Mr. Brown, before I even talk about your God's work, I could talk about your basketball and your entrepreneurship. I probably could talk about it for a good 2 hours, but that's not what we're here for.
Right.
What we're here for is to talk about what you've been doing with the community, right? You with the Kevin Shaw Foundation for the anti-gun violence. Now, on July 12th, I want everybody to write this down. July 12th, foundation will be presenting the 4th annual Anti-Gun Violence Day at the new federal landmark Homecoming Rucker Park, 280 West 155th Street, Frederick Douglass Boulevard, Harlem, New York, from 11:30 to 6 p.m. Listen, it's going to be for a beautiful cause, and we're going to get into this in a second. So, Mr. Brown, please tell the viewers the following. Who was Kevin Shaw?
Well, Kevin Shaw Sr., that's the father.
Okay.
And our families, me and Kev had known one another probably since I probably was 13, 14. He was around 15 at the time. So as we grew older, we got closer. And then in our adult lives, our family, the kids was young. They was 6 years old, 7 years old. And that friendship and that bond grew to be a brotherhood.
Okay.
And Kev had his son Kevin Jr. And so the foundation is named in his memory.
Okay.
Kevin Shaw Jr.
Kevin Shaw Jr. Okay.
Right. He passed from gun violence in 2015. So with that happening, that was such a tragedy. It was so hard to take. And then his father, Kev Sr., passed not even 2 years later from a bus accident, man.
Yeah, I knew Kev. I used to buy boat ride tickets and all kinds of. He was an entrepreneur doing his thing.
Yeah, but me and Kev started the party thing together.
Okay.
And then just over the course of all the years, we started doing things. He'd do some things on his own. I'd do some things on my own. Sometimes we'd come back together. But if he was doing something, I was there. If I was doing something, he was there with me. That was my brother. So his wife, my sister, his mother, my other mother. That's how the relationship and the love for one another.
Okay. All right. So that was Kevin Shaw Jr. This foundation's for the son.
Yes.
Not for the dad who I knew.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
All right. I got that. Next, why and now, how did the anti-gun violence movement came about?
Well, not to cut you off, I'm sorry. But again, because Kev Shaw Jr. passed from gun violence. So when that happened, New York Urban League had got involved with their family, with Kev and Kev's mom, Sakina Shaw, who she's the president of the foundation now.
Okay.
But at the time, they had created some scholarships in Kevin Jr.'s name and things of that nature. So, but Kev, being the person that he is, respected it, appreciated it, but then said, my son's memory and things that are going to be said and done for him, he had to have, input, had to have control of direction.
Right.
And so he went on to creating, his own foundation in his son's name, with all appreciation and admiration to the New York Urban League. So now from that, when Kev Sr. passed, now that's like, that's the engine. That's that's the guy. So I made a commitment to Sakina Shaw, the wife, the mother, that I would be as helpful as I possibly could. So because he passed from gun violence, and he, I got friends, I got a whole lot of people who've passed from gun violence. So it wasn't like it was a new thing. It just was. It had affected us close because it was Kev Jr. So now I said, well, how could I be helpful? And from the basketball thing, Kimber Walker was a good friend of Kev Jr. So the year we started thinking about what I could do, I said, well, Kev used to be around Kimber, part of Kimber's, I guess, side management, however you want to classify it. But I said from Kimber at that time, Kimber just became a free agent, and he was going to sign a max contract. So the whole mystique, the aura, everything around him was great, and he was loved by the Players Association and everything else. So I said, with Kimber being Kev Jr.'s friend, Kev Sr., my man, I'm an old ball player. Kimber's the president. Doesn't get any better than that. We both from New York. Let's do something. And so that was the beginning of the Kevin Shaw Jr. Foundation Anti-Gun Violence Day at Rucker Park.
All right, great. So Fred, thank you for those responses for both questions. I want to talk about throughout the year, what does the foundation do for the community?
Well, the initial, it's 3 phases to the foundation's mission. One was to give scholarships to New York City kids graduating high school, entering college. The second was to bring awareness to gun violence. And the third was the life skill mentoring part that would be done through basketball events, educational and community events. So throughout the course of the year, I kind of took all my in-kind service that I do just from naturally. I now do it for the foundation and under the foundation. So I go down to Maryland. I did a lot of stuff in Baltimore with the Department of Juvenile Justice. In Miami, in Atlanta. Just talking, because I had a lot of relationships. So those relationships, they would ask me to come in and talk to the kids, sometimes talk to young adults to say, how did I do what I did? How did I stay on track growing up in New York City during the 70s, 60s, because that was a heavy drug era, and just how did I navigate through everything. So, just kind of focus like that. The foundation has different committees. They have an educational committee with educators where they pick to see who would be the recipients of the scholarships. There's a fundraising committee. There's several other committees. It's not a large foundation, but it's well structured, well organized. And, we just kind of growing and going through the flow of trying to just make a difference.
Okay, that's beautiful. Again, y'all, I told y'all, this man is doing God's work. So, Fred, thank you for responding to question number 3. Question number 4. How does the Kevin Shaw Jr. Foundation span throughout New York City and state?
Well, New York City, because, Kev Shaw Jr. is from New York City. And so his dad was well known, and I was, particularly well known. So a lot of relationships, a lot of contacts. So just reaching out to folks, reaching out to agencies, reaching out to different elected officials, and pitching a shot. Letting them know this is what's happening, this is what's going on, and this is the help that we need. And that's what we've been doing. They do fundraisers because it's committees. There's a fundraiser committee, so they do things throughout the year. We give scholarships throughout the year. The foundation started in 2015. It didn't get really going in terms of doing things until 2017. And then I started the Anti-Gun Violence Day at Rucker Park 2019. Now COVID knocked us out for 3 years. That's why this is the 4th instead of the 7th. Right. But like I had previously mentioned, the first one, I brought Kimber Walker in as a co-presenter with myself. Then the second one, I brought Shannon Bobbitt, who's a former WNBA player from New York City, from out of King Towers, Foster Projects. Great person, she's doing a lot of good things. And then the third year, I brought Curtis Falls, which is Cornbread, which is another New York legend. And then this year, I got Cornbread, But I got another associate of George Biggs, aka Kite. Now let me. I'll be remiss if I don't say this. All this is done under the Each One Teach One umbrella, Bob McCullough. And Bob has he's extended himself. He's opened up the park, for us to collaborate and try to do some positive things. Entertainers going 5-5, and though that's different, but they collaborate and help as well. Because I like Rucker Park is a strong history, and I just like to always bring everybody together. So you'll hear me say a lot of things. It's under the Each One Teach One, Bob McCullough umbrella, but we got a lot of other moving parts that I bring together because of my relationships to try to make the day the best and most successful that it could be.
Okay, thank you for that. So, since the foundation has been established, what difference do you see, if any? Like I said, we in New York City, you got YouTube, anyone can put a gun together. Have you been seeing a difference, a positive difference, or is it still negative out here with the guns?
It's still serious. So that's going to take some time. It's going to be hard to really determine it, because you might see one kid who you say, okay, he's changed his path, but then you might see 3 others you don't know. So it's a continuous thing. So until you reach a point where most of the guns are put down, the work ain't gonna never be done.
Yeah, and that's why I say you've been doing God's work. And this is work that I don't think you ever gonna stop.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy because you know how you don't realize or recognize something, and so I know the arms and everything that was put around me coming up. I had a lot of strong relationships in the street and everything else. So those relationships played a part in keeping me safe and kind of keeping me focused. Now I come out of a 2-parent household. Father was a strong guy, man. So with him, I already had built up a certain confidence in a certain thing. So I knew how to speak for myself. I knew how to follow myself. But like anything, you do get impressed by different things. That's a natural response, human response. But it allowed me to be able to navigate, move around a certain way, and then all the guys that I met was able to see, that I was a certain type of guy, and then our relationship just kind of grew. So I always had that, that there as well.
That's great. That's great. That's great. Fred, thank you for all 5 responses to my 5 questions.
Okay.
I got 3 more. I hope I ain't boring you.
Nah. I told you I'm humbled.
Yes.
And I appreciate the time to be here.
Yes. My 6th question is, to make a real difference on the war on guns in the community, what type of resources and support do the Kevin Shaw Jr. Foundation need to see a positive change?
Well, they need to put money in the programs and services, and that's the elected officials, that's the state agencies and the federal agencies. Now, through what's happening, I got another collaboration that through my time, the Children of Promise, New York City, right?
Okay.
They got two locations, one in Brooklyn, one in the Bronx. They provide services for kids of incarcerated parent, family member, and they do mental health therapy. So it's two black sisters, one backgrounds in finance, the other one's in education. And if you see both those sites, the Brooklyn site got a gymnasium in it, there's dance studios, classrooms. I mean, they're really nice, and they're doing a lot of good work. So through all of that, I was trying to see if there's a way to have some sort of streaming service where an incarcerated parent can talk to the child through the screen and all of that, and see how to piggyback off of that into other areas. How to, like, say some of the parents that might be on house arrest or something, how to create something that alleviates some of the pressure and stress from that. It's all about just ideas, because you got demonstration projects, you got pilot programs. You can name these things any kind of way. Right. It's just up to that official, that elected official, or that commissioner of an agency to say, okay, I want to do this and I'm going to do this. DYCD, which is the Division of Youth and Community Development. Right, yes. Right. Keith Howard. I've known Keith Howard close to 50 years. Okay. So he understands many of the communities across this city, and he's doing a lot of good things. And we talked, and they made some commitments to do some things together that has not happened as of yet. So I'm gonna still keep banging the doors and saying, we need this to happen, because you gotta have capital. Yes. We can talk about whatever it is. I don't care what industry you in. Without money, you ain't going nowhere. Right. Without resources, you ain't going nowhere.
That's right. That's why I asked the question. Thank you for that. My 7th question. So, Mr. Fred Brown, please tell the viewers why the foundation came up with the Anti-Gun Violence Day and what takes place on that day.
Well, again, because Kevin Shaw Jr. passed from gun violence, right, it was like, that's a factor, So again, with the Anti-Gun Violence Day, we're trying to figure out how I could be helpful. Rucker Park was like second home to me. So now I say, what? We could do something to fall under anti-gun violence and utilize Rucker Park. Right. So I gave it some thought, talked to Sakina Shaw, the president of the foundation, and then said, okay, let's see what we can put together. And that's how it started. I went to Bob McCullough and told him about what I was thinking about, and he was like, fine, great. And so he let me put it together, do the foundation, and then that's how we kicked off.
So what takes place on the day? What we got going on?
Okay, this normally it could be three games or 4 games. It's all youth games,
Games, okay.
This year it's going to be 3 games. It's going to be a girls game, age 14, 15. Okay. That's the New Jersey team against the New York team. Okay. It'll be a wheelchair, actual real wheelchair basketball game with the New York Rolling Fury.
Right.
They part of the National Wheelchair Basketball Association.
Okay.
So this will be their second year.
Second year coming, okay.
Great thing. And the third game will be the boys' game, 14, 15-year-old. Now we're gonna open up this year with something special because Bill Sattler, who's a New York Harlem legend, he passed away about a month and a half ago. So we're gonna have a special memorial tribute to Bill Sattler. That's how we're gonna open up. So there'll be some presentations, some guest speakers, and some words of condolences to the family, and just a tribute, to him, to his son and their family. And then we'll go into the games. There'll be some special presentations that I'll do. I'll recognize, matter of fact, Sam Worthen, worker legend, Kevin Williams, Corky. Corky's real name is, I forget it. I gotta look at it, but he's another played in Puerto Rico, Brazil, but a Rucker standout. So they are part of the people that I'll recognize. I have Wendy. That's the chief of staff for Assemblyman Taylor, because they're very helpful too. So let me not forget that, because all the proclamations, he comes out. He reaches out to the other elected officials from. He spends time out there.
To my
Al Taylor. Right. So that's greatly appreciated. So it's a collaborative effort, man. From a lot of folks.
All right. Sounds like a great day coming.
Yeah. Should be.
I'm asking you now. I want to be a part of that.
Oh, for sure. You got open invitation.
Yeah, I'll be there at 9 in the morning.
Open invite.
Yes. So thank you for question number 7. My last question to you is this. How can an individual or business support the Kevin Short Jr. Foundation?
Well, there's a website, and that's kevinshortjrfoundation.org.
Okay.
There's a GoFundMe page right now for the event. But for all the other things, most of the time, you just go right to the website, and the website will direct you as to how to do whatever it is you choose to do. There's different events going on sometimes, so it might have different specifics as to if you're donating for the specific event, tap that. If you're donating for just the overall, then tap that. So for the Anti-Gun Violence Day, we kind of use the GoFundMe page, or if someone wants to send a check into them, then we try to regulate it though, so we could kind of keep a track of it, because it's a limited amount of time.
Right.
But most part is from the website and then the GoFundMe page. Now the GoFundMe page, that's gofund.me/A069A4A0. That's the GoFundMe page. So we need as much funds as we can raise. Like I said, we've given out from 2017 to now, not counting 2025, 37 scholarships, 37 recipients, totaling 75,000. That's not including this year.
So Fred, before I shut this down, I asked you 8 questions. You answered with no issues. Did I miss anything?
No, not nothing that I can think of, because it's like revolving.
Right.
So it's just a flow of conversation, because it's so broad with so many things that you can't tap everything. You can just try to tap the basics and the things that you can think of. Because when we finish, I'm gonna think of something when I'm in the car driving.
Yeah.
You might think of something. You say, well,
And that's why I asked you that question.
Man,
Did I miss anything?
We'll catch it the next time.
Yeah, because this topic, anti-gun violence, is just always been dear to me. I'm from the housing project.
Okay, yeah, like us all.
I'm a 70s baby, so you already know what I see. You know what I'm saying? I come from Wagner houses.
Okay,
One of the toughest. So I didn't see it all when it comes to guns. So
Right.
you are definitely doing God's work, my brother.
Yeah. Thank you.
My hat comes off. You definitely doing God's work, and you're gonna be doing God's work, like I said, for many more years, man. Listen, this topic is not going anywhere.
Yeah.
It was a pleasure talking with you. It was a pleasure interviewing you. Right? I'm like saying to myself, I got an NBA pro rucker legend right in front of my face. Listen, y'all. I told y'all things are gonna get even better when it comes to my Straight from the Basement YouTube podcast show. I think I gotta come out the basement a little bit more, y'all. What y'all think? Listen, I want to thank you. I want to thank you very much. I I want to thank Tito's Restaurant for allowing us to do this interview, invade their space on a Tuesday on the hottest day of the year. Tony Mac, I can kill you, right? We got people eating behind us, right? But they've been respectful. We've been respectful, so I appreciate it all, right? So, to my viewers and to my listeners, please continue to check me out on YouTube and subscribe. Check me out on my streaming platforms, Spotify. Yes, I'm TikTok live every Tuesday, Thursday, 9 p.m. At least I try to be, to give you guys these smoking, entertaining, hot topics and sports. Please remember to check out the Even Flow Coffee Company, created to combine the interests of coffee lovers, fashion, and music. For more information on to make a purchase, visit evenflowcoffee.com. As I always say, sports is what keeps this world from going insane, either in the pandemic or no pandemic. Until next time, take care. Mr. Fred Disco Brown,
Hey.
you all right with me, my brother?
Likewise, and thank you, man.
Yes,
And
yes.
thank you to all those. If I left somebody out, forgive me just in the moment, but I like to thank everybody who's helped us, participated, and those that's going to help us in the future.
Yes.
So bless you, my man.
That's
Appreciate
what's
you.
up. That's what's up.